and to bring you your fix of everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Two men who could seriously use an intervention. Your source of Habs talk, right from the rock. Right from the rock.
Hello, Canada, hockey fans, United States, and Newfoundland.
Hockey Junkie and GK.
Okay, guys, welcome to Season 2, Episode number 7 of the Fix Podcast. My name is Matt, also known as Hockey Junkie, and joining me today is Gary. And Gary, I don't know, man, we still don't have any BEB here. Bacon, eggs, booze, good abbreviations.
Coffee this
no,
morning,
I didn't know. We're going to have to hire someone.
Maybe. Yeah, like a staff member.
We're going to have to fit it into the budget. So far, we're working off, what, like $0?
Yeah,
but
it would be like minus. What's the price of breakfast at Robin's?
we got to pay someone.
You got to bring it. They'll deliver from PK's if we order the PK's. I don't know if they'll deliver it this hour in the morning, though.
It's not a bad idea. We could try.
You ever had PK's coffee?
No.
Yeah.
Probably use bog water. It's probably not good.
Probably not. A lot happened, man, since the last time we met.
I know.
Yeah.
Big game on the weekend, eh? Habs versus the Pens. I wanted to talk a little bit about Lars Eller, man. You know, a guy played quite a few seasons for the Habs, got dished off to Washington. And I must say I'm pretty happy for him because he went on to chisel out a pretty good NHL career for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people come in and, you know, they're superstars, or some guys come in, they're up and down from the AHL, kind of back and forth. Eller kind of came in, first round pick, you know, and just kind of had himself a career, you know, always steady, always kind of, you know, playing the same game. You know, night in, night out. I won a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals after we dealt him over there. And like some guys will leave Montreal and you're like, man, I hope that guy doesn't succeed, you know.
Yeah.
Like John and Drouin's name comes to mind, Mike Hoffman, for instance, you know. Well, maybe I'm a horrible person, but that's just the way I feel. But Lars Eller, I always rooted for Lars Eller. It was like, you know, he played well when he was in Montreal. He did probably better than anyone expected him to do. And then he went away and did good for himself. And he's still kicking around the league and not really slowing down much either. He's still playing that same game.
No, man, he scored a goal, scored a big goal against his former team. Oh, yeah, I had to. He had to get down out of his system.
If he hadn't scored for the year, he'd have scored in Montreal the other night. You know, it was going to happen one way or the other.
But I read that he's actually the first player to play 1,000 games, a Denmark player from Denmark. That's
pretty good, man.
That's pretty good, man. Good accomplishment for him.
Absolutely. You remember, like, because we traded Halak for Eller. Remember that? That was the deal that brought Eller to Montreal. We just traded Halak to St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
St. Louis. And I remember, like, that summer, who was the GM then? That Mr. Burns looking guy. What was his name?
Mr. Burns looking I'm fucking lost.
Anyways, we'll look it up later. But he didn't even, like, shop Halak around. Halak had that great run in the playoffs. He put up, like, 50 saves against Pittsburgh. And Price was there, and he came off that playoff run. And no one even knew he was on the market, and boom, he was traded away for Eller. It's like they didn't want the controversy of having him and Price there. And I remember after teams being like, I didn't even know Halak was on the market.
You talking about Pierre Gauthier?
Maybe. If he looks like Mr. Burns, then that's who I'm talking about. There's only so many GMs there.
Man, no, that's crazy. You're right though, but
same guy who traded Camilleri in the middle of the game.
Yeah, that's him.
Pierre
That's Pierre Gauthier, yeah. The GOAT.
Yeah. I put that out of my mind as fast as I could.
Yeah, I can't blame you, man.
But I remember that deal being one, and Camilleri was another one. The team said the same thing, like, we didn't know Camilleri was on the market, and then he's traded, like, mid-game, which was, you know, not a classy move at all. Not a good look.
Horrible general manager, in my opinion. I was not a fan of him at all.
No, me either.
Like, no.
Well, that move alone, like, you had a goalie who just came off, like, he came off with a fantastic season, like, did that year.
Yeah.
Trade him away. Now, Lars Eller, like I said, first round pick, you know, and obviously had a decent career for Montreal, went on to have a decent career. But, like, you think you would have got, I wouldn't call Lars Eller an impact forward, really. He's a depth forward. You know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, anyway, he scored a big goal, man.
He did. Sorry. I just ruined the moment.
We're going to give Larry Licky some credit.
Yeah, I like Larry all the time.
Yeah, man. Habs lost that game, 3-2 in overtime, but in my opinion, I thought Juraj Slafkovsky was a standout that game, man. Slafkovsky got, of course, Marty St. Louis took him off the first line, moved him down to the second line. He's playing with Sean Monahan and Mario right now. And I mean, they look good.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Sean Monahan has been finding him a lot too. Like you know, he's looking for Slav.
A couple of chances, man. If Slav puts, like, if he starts finishing just like 5% more of his chances, his stats are going to go through the roof. And that line, I mean, Armia, who is this guy? Like,
I
they
know,
just sent
yeah.
everyone down to Laval for a couple of weeks, man, because like he's a different hockey player.
Dare I say he's getting a bit of value? His value's going up a
It's
little.
definitely going up.
I know the contract sucks, but
Yeah.
it's not going down.
It's definitely not going down.
No.
And like you look the way Monahan's playing, we're talking about deals. Like Monahan's value is through the roof right now. So you're not talking about retaining salary on Monahan. Like he goes at full value right now, in my mind. You might have to take back something, but you're not retaining salary on that one. So you can almost afford to retain a little bit of salary on Mary Armia if you needed to.
Yeah.
And Armia at what's he making? Is he making $4 million?
No, I think he's making like 3 point something. Close.
All right. So you say retain half of that. So if you only retain like 1.5 or something like that,
It's not as bad.
that's not as bad. You take Armia at 1.5 million or a little bit better than that. How long does he have left on that contract?
I think just next season. I'm going to have to look it up, though.
All right, you look it up, and I'll go on and talk about play your Slafkovsky, man. Because, drop them from that first line, and you're kind of waiting to see how he reacts. Because his play's been playing. He's been playing much better lately.
Yeah.
But it kind of coincides with him popping up on that top line, or at least his point total start coinciding with him popping up on that top line. And now he's dropped down with Monahan, and he looks just as good or better.
Yeah.
And that top line underlying numbers have cratered since he's left.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I noticed, too. Like, and it's funny, too, because there's a lot of people that still say that Slafkovsky doesn't deserve to be on the first line. But since they've taken him off that first line, man, I noticed a big dip. Like they look lost now sometimes.
Absolutely.
They're not winning as many board battles. Like,
well, who's there to win the board battles? I mean, Anderson's a big body, but he doesn't play a big game. He plays a fast game.
Yeah.
And he can take the body when he needs to, but he doesn't play like a grind the board game. And I didn't think Slafkovsky maybe would either first when he came to the league, but all this year since after the first 20 games when he started to get comfortable. He's a beast along the boards, man. And when he's got the puck down low, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's been unreal. Like, if he can become even a 60 point player and play that kind of game, that's a big dude that just to wear down the opposition, right?
And it kind of seems to me like, I mean, he is playing with Cole Caulfield, so, you say when he starts playing with a finisher or a true goal scorer. But, like, say if he starts playing with a goal scoring centerman. Because, Caulfield and him, they're separated by the span of the ice, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Suzuki kind of plays the intermediate in between there. And Suzuki's kind of a pass-first guy, too. But it seems like Slafkovsky wants to play that pass-first game. He's a bit hesitant. Maybe it's a confidence issue. Or maybe that's the game he wants to play. Create space and dish the puck to someone to finish it off. But if he starts getting, like, real good chemistry with someone in particular, like, I'm picturing Kirby Dach. Now, I know Kirby Dach's not a shooter either. But, like, him and Kirby had good chemistry when Slab wasn't playing good.
They did, yeah.
So imagine now two big bodies when Dach is back and they're both playing well. Man, it could be something.
Could be big.
Could be big. They are big.
They are big, yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of big, going back to Yoel Armia, he's making $3.4 million for this season and next season. But I mean, that's not too bad.
No, I mean, like I said, if you're retaining that. The thing is, they only have so many retention slots, and I think they have one used right now, don't they?
I think they got one left.
Yeah, they had one used and one left or something like that. So, like I said, Monahan playing as well as he is gives them that extra space. Because I don't think right now, and Monahan is not making a big pong anyways. So, come trade deadline, his salary is not going to be worth talking about. So, I don't think you'll have to retain on him. Gives you the option to retain on a guy like Armia. Or, you add him as a piece going back on if someone wants to, maybe one of these teams wants to get some dead salary off their roster and you can take some of that back and then give them Armia. Maybe they sweeten the pot.
Yep.
Something like that. And it seems like, Hughes has been creative since he's been there. It's not the obvious move that gets made a lot of times. But like someone said the other day about, what's the team? The Rangers. The Rangers was a team that keeps coming up, getting Monahan and maybe Armia, like a big strong winger for them to play down their depth role. That makes good sense. And they've got a lot of pieces that you'd want to see coming back. They got some young, talented players. K.O. Capo's names keep coming up. And then they got good draft picks and they got some younger players who aren't in the NHL yet who could be trade pieces. So they got a bit of, they can make a nice package coming back. I mean, a lot of people say Keiko plus a first.
Yeah.
Which that seems like an awful, like that's a lot.
That is, yeah.
I'd be happy if it was just a first or, something in a first, really. As long as you get that first round pick in there, then I'm a happy man, I think.
Philip Schittle is that his name? Schittle? Sounds like terrible.
That's what it looks like, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
Anyway, he's out for the season now.
Yeah. So, I mean, America for them, like, they're going to need a center, like, now. You know what I mean? Very soon. Now, I mean, they're comfortably in a playoff spot, but you don't want to lose momentum if you're a team like the New York Rangers. You don't want to limp into the playoffs. You want to go in strong. So I think that's a good fit. You know, Edmonton is still, to me, still makes sense. LA is kind of faltering, you know.
Yeah.
Just as long as Pierre-Luc Dubois doesn't come back, because
crazy.
That's crazy, man.
So Slafkovsky picks up his 20th point of the season and actually ties Pierre-Luc Dubois. Now, if somebody said during the summer that, you know, halfway through the season, Slafkovsky would have just as many points as Pierre-Luc Dubois, like, you'd be like, yeah, right, come on.
If Dubois got one leg, maybe. I wouldn't But, man. Like, it's crazy. And, like, Doughty's calling out somebody on the roster.
I know.
And everyone immediately, well, everyone in Montreal fan base anyways, automatically, their mind just goes to Dubois. And maybe it is him, maybe it's not him, but either way, like, they were flying high, man. And them and the Edmonton Oilers are on, like, opposite ends of teeter-totter. Yeah. LA came out swinging, and Edmonton was, I mean, they were trash. What, they win, like, 2 of their first 10 games? Yeah. And now they're on, like, a 14, 15-game winning streak.
Oh, they're gone nuts,
and
man.
Then LA is 1-1 in their last 9 or something like that. Like, it's crazy, the back and forth there.
It is. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, even Todd McClellan, too, the head coach, called him out, said that he got to play. Well, he pretty much said he got to play better defensively, even if he's only getting 4 minutes a night or 14 minutes a night. Like,
yeah, which is, I mean, it's a common thing. You know, this is the third team for him now.
Yeah.
Tortorella said that about 5 seasons ago.
Yeah, man.
And it's getting the same thing again now. The thing about Pierre-Luc Dubois is that we've seen him play in the playoffs. Yeah. You know? So he might mail it in for the season or whatever. But man, oh man, when he gets in the playoffs, he's a beast.
He is, yeah.
Generally speaking. I mean, it's hard just to flip that switch. But if history's any kind of marker, he is that kind of guy. So, you know, a Birds fan, you say there's guys that get you to the playoffs and guys that get you through the playoffs. If he's got to get you through, then maybe Doughty and McLean will both be singing a different tune come July.
So I got a question for you. When it happens, because it's going to happen over the next month, he's going to request a trade. Listen, I hope Gary Bettman starts putting in expansion teams because Dubois is going to run out of spots to go, man. He's going to need like 30 more teams. But anyway, when he requests a trade, okay, last year we were kind of, you know, we were a little, you know.
I was okay with it.
Yeah, man, like it made sense.
It did. When it was a deal.
Yeah,
you know.
But what about now?
Hell
no. No, I'm in the same boat. You know.
No, like Dubois last year, we talked about this for sure, because it looked like he wanted to go to Montreal.
Yeah.
And because of that, Winnipeg was going to be in a bit of a bind, and they should have got him for a sign. And then signed him for less than Suzuki money. Would have been me, or like I was kind of like, you know, if it was any more than that, I would have been iffy about it even last year. Now, hell no.
No, he's making big money.
He's making big money. He's already on a contract, and I mean, that'd be his next team, and it looks like it's going to be a next team. Yeah, you know, it's not going to be good, man.
If he looks for another team now, man, I don't even know what to say. Bring back the Nordiques, bring back everyone. Like
Utah's looking for a team.
Dubois reminds me of some 10-year-old kid sitting down playing NHL Be a Pro. Like he hitting the request trade button nonstop. Like, I don't like this team anymore.
Walking in, just like, come on, man. I don't know. It's weird. And then like you got Patrick Laine on the opposite end of that deal, who was like, and now he's in the player assistance program. That's a lot of talent to kind of move from team to team and not really anyone generate anything out of it. Like, you know, you're out there and you're dealing for players. And we talked about, not this year, but maybe next year in the off season, or depending on what moves they make, you know, going into next season, like trading for an impact player, you know, and you're going to have to give up assets to do that. Obviously, like, you know, you don't get Laine or you don't get Dubois for nothing, you know, and it's a big risk.
Oh,
it's
man.
a massive risk.
Winnipeg is reaping the benefits right now of trading Dubois
100%
to LA, right? They're like 5th place in the league, man.
Yeah, and those 2 guys they got come back. I can't think about the top of my head, but contributing big time into those rosters, right?
Yeah.
And then Dubois in LA. No doubt LA had a great start, but Dubois had nothing to do with that.
No.
And now they're missing those depth guys, and they're going to miss those guys going into the playoffs. And maybe they'll have to trade for Sean Monahan, and that'd be great. Just as long as Dubois not coming back.
Yeah, geez, no. That'd be a nightmare. Juraj Slafkovsky's also got 2 more points than Jesperi Kotkaniemi too, eh?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing at the start of the season about Kotkaniemi was, like, he was flying. And so he was, but, like, then he crashed, apparently. Because, he got 18 points.
Yeah, he's got 2 points in his 2 or 3 points in his last 22 games played or something.
Because he was point for games for the first 12?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, yeah, him and Suzuki are pretty much the same player and blah, 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 blah. And then he just shit the bed. But he was the same thing in Montreal. Like, he'd go through spurts when he was on fire and then he'd fade away.
Yeah, man.
And, I mean, I'm not saying I love to see it, but I kind of do.
If only Christian Dvorak wasn't crippled in a hospital bed somewhere.
Man, always. Someone's always crippled in the hospital in Montreal these days. It's crazy. And Newhook is skating, though. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's going to be nice to see him back. He should be back soon. Carrying on with the trade talk, I don't know if you noticed, well, Arber Xhekaj, if you noticed, the fourth period put something out where apparently a team offered a top 6 winger for Arber Xhekaj, a young top 6 winger, and Hughes said no, and the fan base kind of got mixed feelings about it. Now, half of the fan base said, like, freak that, man, you're not trading Xhekaj. But the other half, it makes sense to listen to offers anyway. You got to listen to offers. I mean, you listen to offers for Gretzky. Right?
Absolutely. Well, he got traded, so,
yeah,
you know.
Man. So, but the big thing is, I wouldn't be too critical of Kent Hughes over that because obviously we don't even know the name of this guy. And it could have been anyone. We don't know what kind of projection he's got or if he's injured or if he's been injury prone.
Yeah. Well, if they're offering off for Xhekaj, he's not a perfect player. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you don't trade a top 6 legitimate scoring winger for right now an unproven young defenseman who doesn't have a lot of offensive potential. You know, he impacts the game in a lot of good ways. We love Arber Xhekaj, but most teams with a good decor, he's playing in your bottom 4. He's not playing in your top 4.
No, he's not your first or second defenseman.
No, right?
No.
Now, don't get me wrong. We love Xhekaj. Like if it was Gauthier, or not Gauthier, Cutter Gauthier. Like Gauthier for Xhekaj, straight up. Do you say yes? Do you say no?
Jeez.
It's tough, right?
It is, yeah.
Because there's emotion attached to it.
There's a lot of emotion.
You know.
He's my favorite player. When I was a kid, I was attached to a lot of old line like that, really.
Well, I mean, I first heard about Arber Xhekaj listening to your channel.
Yeah.
Legit, and then, did a little bit more digging and fell in love with the guy too. If you're a GM, though, you can't fall in love with guys.
No.
So you gotta look at it from, all the angles and say, is that the right move? If it was a potential 40-goal guy, which it obviously wasn't, because you do make that trade.
Yeah.
I think, no matter how good.
40-goal scorer, geez,
with the depth that we got on the back end.
Yeah.
No matter how much we like Xhekaj, and we do, that's the move that you can't not make. But if it's like a bubble top 6 guy, I mean, we got those guys already. We got Newhook. We got...
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. If it was another Newhook kind of... You know what I mean? You'd be kind of...
I can't see it being any better than that.
Yeah.
And we got some young kind of talent coming up who can play that kind of middle 6 role anyway. So unless it was someone who had legitimate offensive oomph to it,
yeah,
then I can see him kind of turn away from it. If it was someone who had that legitimate offensive prowess, then I'd be probably a little bit disappointed if they didn't pull the trigger. But we'll never know. And I don't think Kent Hughes would make that mistake.
No.
So,
you know something though? Xhekaj to me right now looks like a guy he's playing scared. To me, he looks like a guy with shit in his pants when he's on the ice. You know what I mean?
Back to this again.
Yeah. you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, man.
He's playing like he's afraid to make a mistake. He's afraid. I mean, he apologized for getting the penalty the other night.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
Someone's got to sit on the side and say, listen, we want you to play on the edge because that's where you play your best.
Yeah.
And, we're in a rebuild. The same thing is if Caulfield makes a mistake trying to score a goal, or Slafkovsky makes a mistake trying to score a goal and gives up a goal, it's a rebuild. So, you learn from it and you move on. If Xhekaj flattens a guy and gets a 5-minute major and it results in a goal, then you learn from it and you move on. But he's got to feel like he can make those mistakes. And right now it doesn't look like he feels like he can make those mistakes without maybe getting shit back to Laval.
And I don't even know if he can make those mistakes. So this might sound weird now, but after the game the other night, I noticed they were translating the French script to English so I could actually pick it out because I can barely speak any language like we mentioned before. But they asked Marty St. Louis about Gallagher's 5-minute major and he didn't want to talk about it. But then a minute later they asked him about Xhekaj's 2 minors and he said he wasn't impressed really. He was disappointed. But like, I don't know, that felt kind of like, if you're not going to talk about one guy, in my opinion, you shouldn't talk about the next guy either. That's the way I see it.
And I mean, what message are you sending? He just got sent down to Laval forever. You couldn't ask for Arber Xhekaj to do more in Laval than he did in Laval.
Yeah.
He went down. Maybe the first game he might have pouted a little bit. There was some talk about it. But from that point on, man, like, he played well. He turned the team around. I mean, maybe it was coincidence, but you look at where they were when Xhekaj went down. They were when he came back.
They're wagging now.
Look at Logan Mailloux play over that same period of time. Like, to me, you give that kid a bouquet and you give him a little bit of a leash. Because look what happens when you give him a leash. Look at the way he played in Laval.
Yeah.
Sure, he took some minors when he played down there too. But
played good hockey.
Man.
Yes, man.
He feels comfortable, he feels okay, and he feels like he can take that play. So I think that, I don't like that. And again, just like I'm a fan of Arber Xhekaj, I am a fan of Martin St. Louis. But just because I'm a fan of him doesn't mean I got to agree with everything that he does. And we don't agree with everything he does, especially when it comes to Arber Xhekaj. And last year, Slafkovsky was a bone of contention for us. And the power play has been a bone of contention for us.
Every time.
Now, I will say, though, the power play has been looking much better.
Yeah.
Entries are better. Puck possession is better. Caulfield's not stationary all the time. Like before, he was like Ovechkin, right? He was staying top of that left-hand circle, looking for that right-hand one-timer. And obviously, it was becoming super predictable. And Ovechkin can get away with that because he's Alexander Ovechkin. But, Caulfield is not Alexander Ovechkin, not yet anyways. And now it's less predictable. You see Caulfield going down low. You see him switching to the other side. Slafkovsky's becoming a bit of a threat. And Monahan is controlling it all through the middle. So when he leaves, it's gonna completely implode again, just like it did last year.
Speaking of the power play, man, Mike Matheson, in my opinion, like this is gonna get a lot of flack for sure because it feels like Mike Matheson is becoming somewhat of a whipping boy.
Absolutely,
he is, though, isn't he? But man, when you look at the numbers, he's putting up a lot of numbers, man. Like, there's things about his game that I don't like. Like, I wish he knew that Slafkovsky existed sometimes, like he's alive.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not a figment of his imagination.
But other than that, like, Mike Matheson's been doing pretty good for the minutes he's been given. Yeah, he might be getting overplayed and overexposed sometimes, but...
Well, same flack that Jeff Petrie used to get, because essentially Mike Matheson is our number one defenseman right now.
Yeah.
And Mike Matheson, as good as he is, and we talked about it, he's not a number one defenseman.
No.
So he is getting outmatched sometimes. But I mean, if you look at his underlying numbers, or not his underlying numbers, but look at the way he moves the puck, look at the way he transitions in the power play, look at his goals, look at his point line.
Yeah.
And if it was the other way around, if he had beautiful underlying statistics and had 2 points, he'd be getting shit all over.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't have it both ways, you know what I mean? I find the thing with Matheson is that, just like we talked about, only for he's not a developing player, is that he does take risks. There's a reason he gets points he does it, because he's willing to take offensive risks. And sometimes that turns into horrendous looking plays.
Oh, man.
Like brutal giveaways, sometimes in his defensive zone, sometimes on the offensive blue line that leads to transitional plays. So he makes high risk plays that don't always work out. And so when it goes bad, it goes horribly bad. And to me, I think that's why he becomes such a target of the fans, because some games he looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in some games you're like, what in the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, man. And some games, like, you'll get points. Like, Saturday night, you look pretty good. And then all of a sudden, in overtime, you just, like, lobbed the puck and it resulted in a goal. Like, the Habs lost the game, right?
Man, overtime the other night, I don't know if the goal Slafkovsky got went to his feet or his legs or his head or his hands or what. But you see that play?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, that was a confident player going there.
Yeah, man. He looked deadly, I know.
And he does that every now and then. It's just, like, and the finish, man. If he just, I know he's young, he's 19. If he figures out just a little bit more finish, his point totals are going to go. They're going to go, man. Like 60 points easy, I think. Easy if he figures it out.
If he scored an overtime the other night going coast to coast like that, man. I'd have been firing guns off. I'd have probably been in jail tonight.
But you know what? I don't think Slafkovsky in Montreal yet has scored a pretty goal.
No, I know. I mean? Yeah.
Like, he had pretty plays. He's come close. He's made beautiful passes that resulted in, like, the one to Suzuki the other night on the power play, kind of bang bang play. Right?
Oh, that was nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But we'll have to go back through his clips. I don't think he's ever scored a nice goal.
Oh, that was probably his prettiest goal Saturday night when it went off the finger's leg.
It's true, right? And they're all like that. Hell, I got no problem with that. Like, they all count, and you're in the right place. But I'd like for him to score one and be like, oh yeah, that looked really good.
Yeah,
like
man.
if he had
Like,
scored the other night on that play,
that would have been sick.
It looked deadly.
Yeah.
He scored on the shootout that game. That was a pretty goal.
That was a nice goal.
But I mean, that's, there's no defense.
Just don't want him.
So like,
I keep looking at that clip and pretending everybody's behind him trying to get him.
Chasing him. I don't know. But man, like, if he does figure out that piece of his game, and I think that, like I said, he's super young, and you saw flashes of when he played for Slovakia in the World and Slovakia in the World Juniors. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
It is there. So I think he'll figure it out. It's just, NHL goalers are that much better, right? And he's got to figure that out. But he looks pretty good.
Looks good for 19 years old.
Absolutely. Another thing we got to talk about, man, is how come the Ottawa Senators are our kryptonite?
I don't know, man, but their fan base just pisses me right off. Like, oh my God, they're like ants.
It's painful. You
know what I mean? Every time the Sens win, it's like you're stepping on an ant's nest and they're just crawling up your leg. Like, it's
annoying. That doesn't happen too often this season. Yeah. Well, man, like every time they play us, they play their best game.
Yeah.
And then, like, all that Arber Xhekaj kind of just crap. They called them up. And, like, I know our fan base might have overreacted about Xhekaj getting called up and it making such a big difference. And it didn't happen to make big of a difference in that game. But, like, their attitude towards it, there's, like, their podcast made a whole podcast about dealing with Arber Xhekaj.
Yeah, I know, man.
He just got called up from Laval. It's like, come on. It irks me so bad to lose those guys.
Oh, yeah, they're strange. One thing I will say, though, Xhekaj didn't make much of a difference from a standpoint where the Habs won. But if there's one thing that I took away from it, like the game prior when they played the Sens, Brady Kachuk went in and hammered Mike Matheson behind the net. Zach McEwen got into a scrap. But that game, like the next game, it was just like crickets. There was nobody.
The shenanigans.
Yeah, man. There was 100%. No after the whistle shit going on. Everyone was just. It was. And just
the one chance Kachuk got to go with him, he didn't.
Yeah,
want
he didn't want
nothing to do with it.
No.
So I mean, and, fans. Now, don't get me wrong. I tweeted this. Like, I don't think that Brady Kachuk is afraid of Arber Xhekaj. I don't think he's in a hurry to fight Arber Xhekaj.
No, he's not.
And I don't think that Arber Xhekaj is in a hurry to fight Brady Kachuk either.
No. Brady Kachuk is tough, man.
He is, right?
He is. Like,
there's no doubt about it.
You gotta admit it. Like,
if he's on your team, you love that
guy.
Man. You love him every day of the week. And you hate playing against him. And that's how you know you're a good hockey player.
Yeah.
And I think that one of these days, Ottawa is going to be, and I said this thing last year, Ottawa's going to be down a goal in a game, and they're going to need a spark, and he's going to do something, and it's going to be him and Xhekaj, and he'll have no excuse. Like, you're down a goal, your team needs a spark, and that opportunity gets there, and he's going to have to drop him. Because Xhekaj's not going to back down for sure.
No.
But, Kachuk, if you're down a goal, he's a goal scorer too, so he's got to pick his spots. But eventually, all the excuses are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And he's not going to have a reason not to. Or Xhekaj's going to flatten someone on his team.
That's what
and he's going to have to drop him. He's going to have to step up. That's probably the most likely scenario. And I'm looking forward to it. Not someone getting hurt playing Xhekaj, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking forward to that finally being
settled.
Done. Like, drop him, meet at center ice.
Yeah, man.
And hopefully...
Then we can move on to the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. And we can, just show it in every clip when the Ottawa fans are chirping, like, your captain just got beat to pulp.
That'd be
maybe
sick.
Hopefully that's how it goes.
I hope so.
Kachuk is a strong customer. He's a tough customer. And like I said, if he's playing on your team, you love him. And I can respect Ottawa fans loving him. It's just that's where my respect for them is.
I just wish the Habs could beat him, man. Like, it's getting terrible.
Is it 9?
It's a lot. It might be 9.
It's a lot. It's like 2 years of pain. Because then there was a year when we lost like every game in the preseason. We played them like 5 times. Yeah, that's not even counting that. Yeah. But that's where this kind of love affair with Arber Xhekaj came for those guys. I mean, he killed half the roster in preseason that year. And that was his rookie season. Ever since that, it's just been, just back and forth.
Oh, man. Those were good times, though.
Yeah, that was good times.
The rookie games.
Oh,
man, that was sick.
Because, that was most people's, who's this Arber Xhekaj kid?
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I knew who he was. And, obviously people followed really closely knew who he was. But like I said, you had been talking to him, at that time, you'd been talking about him for a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when he came up, I was excited. And then he, just terrorizes the entire training camp. And it was this is awesome.
I remember watching the rookie games, and I think he injured Cruikshank.
Yeah.
He injured someone else. There was one game he injured 2 people, and then he knocked the guy out.
Yeah, one punched him. It was just like, well, welcome to the NHL, kid. It was great.
Man, it was crazy. Yeah. Then he got into the preseason, and he was scrapping it. And that's when he started, you started to notice he's not just a goon. He can actually play, too, right?
Puck, right?
Yeah, man.
So I think, like you said, with Xhekaj, it's just a matter of eventually the shackles will come off him again. I think he'll feel more and more comfortable. But again, like he took 2 minor penalties and he sits out a game. It's.
I know. Yeah.
I'm worried that it's sending a message to him. He's going to be, afraid to play his game.
Yeah.
And regardless of, I know he can skate and he can shoot and he's got all those aspects to his game, but I feel like he's not really in a game unless he's playing that physical way. You know what I mean? I think he can do the rest of it. And get involved in the game the way he needs to be involved in it if he doesn't play physical, he doesn't play aggressive. So I think he'll figure it out. I just hope that St. Louis gives him the leash to figure it out.
Yeah, man. Because like you said, if he felt the need to apologize, then obviously this was a conversation prior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not just going to... No, I don't think so anyway. I think there was a conversation.
And to me, like, you go in the room, you apologize to your teammates, maybe. All right, guys, I took a stupid penalty, and, that's on me.
Yeah.
But apologize to your coach?
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. It's the wrong type of mindset to me. That if that's in his head, then he can't concentrate on what he's doing on the ice.
No, it's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look. So hopefully they'll have a conversation with him again. Just say, you know what? Play your game and we'll figure it out. Like they do with, like I said, they'll do it on the offensive side of the game. They've done it with some of their more offensive defensemen who've made mistakes, trying to generate offense. And we've got more goals from defense than every team but Colorado Avalanche. So there's, you pay the price, but you gain something. So I think they should give him the same leash, and I hope that they do.
Yeah, me too.
I thought this, I know this is like Bonavista minor hockey, but like yesterday, a buddy of mine, kids playing U15 hockey, playing against the Rovers, I think it's Bay Roberts, up in Clarendon. Darian Hunt Memorial Tournament. Darian Hunt was a young man who died from cancer a couple of years ago, so they do a memorial tournament for him every year. So they're playing in Clarendon yesterday. Bay Roberts scores 30 seconds left, go ahead, 2-1. 30 seconds left. So go down. They have a play. Bay Roberts, or Bay Arena, or Rovers, whatever, ice the puck. Right? So it goes down their end. Bonavest takes face off. Comes out. One of the girls who plays on teams is a mixed team. Stops on the line, shoots it in. One of their players gets it, backhand roofs it at the buzzer. At the buzzer. Like literally, the ref is behind it, goes like this. Bay Roberts players are throwing their gloves off. And Buddy's coming and doing a train line to bench high five, and the fans are like, don't know what happened. So it's on Facebook Live. So place is going bedlam. Bay Roberts are swarming their goalie. The refs are over having a little conference. Come over. He goes center ice and points to center ice. It's a goal. Bonavista goes nuts all over again. Deadly. Goes in 12 seconds into overtime. Goes down. Same kid scores the game winner for Bonavista.
Oh, man. That's
deadly,
man.
right? So it's young guy, Addison plays with us. Her brother Reed played on that team. So Jamie coaches with us. And so he's on the bench. And the place just goes up. It was awesome. So we were up to her birthday party yesterday. And I was getting the story and I went on Facebook and watched it. I just wanted to bring it up. Congratulations, U15 Bonavista team, man. It was awesome. Like chills watching. It's only a U15
that is awesome.
B hockey, but it was amazing to watch.
I gotta look that up.
That's kids, like, you don't forget those games. Like,
oh, yeah.
You're 13 years old and you're playing that. You remember that until you're my age and you're going reminiscent about games like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, man. It was a goosebumps type of game.
That is wicked.
That's cool, right?
Congrats.
Yeah. Another thing we're going to need to talk about, I think, is, and I didn't think we'd talk about it this time, but the draft. Who do you like? What do you like? What are you seeing? Have you done Tankathon lately?
Oh, yeah.
I have. I admit. I wasn't going to, but the lure is there.
We're in January now, man. It's that Tankathon time of year.
Season.
Right after Christmas.
Unfortunately. Not next year. Maybe not next year.
Maybe not.
Unless Calgary's pick is. We got Calgary's pick next year.
But, man, I've been listening to... Grant McKegg is like a Habs prophet. He is. Like, everyone he talks about gets drafted to the Canadiens. He was on the Slafkovsky hype train right at the start of 2022 when everyone was all over Shane Wright.
Yeah.
Then
he took a massive amount of flack for that.
Yeah, man. And he was right.
He was right.
He was absolutely right. And I'm happy with the pick.
I am too.
And then he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs about Reinbacher. I'm still not over that one yet. He's got a lot of persuading.
But he was right, regardless.
He was right. They took Reinbacher.
Yeah.
And yesterday on Twitter, I was giggling like a little schoolgirl, man.
I've seen that in person.
I'm doing it now. He was talking about Demidov, and he was hyping him up. He compared him to Pavel Bure, his skill set. And he pretty much said Habs fans should be excited right now at the possibility of getting Demidov at the draft. And I've been watching his highlights, man, and I'd be over the moon with excitement if the Habs got him.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly the type of forward the rebuild needs.
Yeah.
And, like, he's all over the place with rankings because I find like there's a group of strong defensemen that are kind of encroaching on that top 5.
Yeah.
That could push a guy like Demidov down. And if it does, man, like...
Could be awesome.
What a steal that would be.
And the Canadiens could end up with pick number 5. Pick number 5 to pick number 6, somewhere in that area. Yeah. And I mean, if a couple of defensemen go early, like if picks 2 and 4, we'll say, are defensemen, wow.
Yeah, there's going to be...
You're getting a good offensive
Demidov. But a good offensive forward is found there. It's either him or...
Caden Lindstrom. Man, he's the other guy I've been watching. And maybe the Habs win the lottery and we just don't even have to have this conversation.
Oh, yeah, then it's just, boom. What if they win the lottery at 2? Oh, that would be like the hardest decision to make.
It would,
you know, and that's what's going to happen because we always get the hardest decision to make. Because, you know, obviously, Celebrini goes 1.
Yeah.
Who do you take it to?
To
me, Demidov is ranked... I think I take that. He's ranked 2.
I'm going with Demidov. And I know like Silyev and Livshinov and all these guys, I probably butchered their names, but I mean, that's just life. They gotta get used to that.
It's gonna happen. Welcome to Canada.
But like, seriously though, like, I'd be hesitant to take another defenseman, man. I would. I mean, if the best player available is a for sure forward defenseman, then I mean, maybe you get him and you make a tough decision. But I'd be flipping tables if they have picking a defenseman.
It'd be hard.
Yeah,
it would be hard. Like I said, unless it's, you know, the next Victor Hedman coming through there, and it's like he's a no-doubter.
Yeah.
Top, but even then, man, like with the defensive depth that you got,
I know
it's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough, man.
But I will say this: if the Canadiens do get Demidov or Lindstrom in the 2024 draft, like, I won't be as upset about 2023 anymore.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and it's nothing against Reinbacher. Like, it's not against him as a person. It's just that I look at it as a scenario where maybe the Habs could have took Michkov in 2023 and got their defenseman in 2024. Maybe even a better defenseman. Again, no offense to Reinbacher, but you know what I'm getting at.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, this switches things up a little bit.
It does, yeah.
And maybe Demidov ends up being the better Russian at the end of the day, or at least a more well-rounded Russian. You know what I mean?
Could be,
because I mean, obviously Mishkov is a good hockey player. He's been playing good. There's all the noise you heard around Mishkov, and there was a lot of it.
Yeah,
you don't hear any of that noise around Demidov. I mean, it's the same scenario, it's the same environment. Everything else is relatively the same.
Yeah,
but all those question marks aren't flying around like they were with Mishkov. So, I mean, it's the same scouts. It's all the same teams. We're looking at these kids. So there must be a significant difference. Something's different there, significantly different.
Yes, yeah. Demidov, man, like, if you look at his highlights, like, the hands that he's got, holy shit. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Stick hand on a crawl space.
You would know. You spend a lot of time with crawl spaces.
Sure do. No, man, so, he's unreal.
So those, like, to me, we had a conversation, texted the other day. It was like, Demidov or Lindstrom. If they come out of this year's draft with either of those guys, or Macklin Celebrini, obviously, if they win the lottery, which, I mean, if you're at 5, it's a possibility. It's not like a super duper possibility, but like it could happen. And you come out of the draft with either one of those guys. Like if you pick where you're 6, 7, I think the best you can hope for is Lindstrom.
Yeah,
and that's like 6 probably pushes you maybe out of that mark. It depends on how many defensemen go early. So you got to hope it's not like last year we picked 5th and there was 4. Like, there was 4 players who were going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 17 players who could have went 5th.
Oh, I know, man.
And we picked 5th.
Yeah.
You got to hope that we pick at the point where, right before that drop-off happens.
Yeah. I'd be so excited, though, with a lottery win.
We've earned a lottery win. You know,
we did.
You know, Slafkovsky doesn't. I mean, we won the lottery, but we were the last place team in the league.
Yeah.
So really, like, to me, that doesn't count.
Celebrini's like, he's already playing really well with Hudson. And you know Hudson's going to be in the Habs lineup really soon. So he's already got a buddy here, man. Come on, we got the buddy system going.
Yeah. Storybooks, fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's meant to be.
I've heard him compared to... he's being compared to Crosby, like a poor man's Crosby kind of deal. Right?
Yeah,
like, he's not going to be a Sidney Crosby, but like, he's got the characteristics of Crosby. He's the Dollarama version, right?
Dollarama Crosby. Legitimately, like, he will be, I think, 100-point player in the NHL.
That would be sick.
I think he will be. He might not be a 150-point player like McDavid, and he might not be the guy that Bedard is going to be. But I think he'll be like, a 100-point guy, which we haven't had
Oh my
in a
God.
long time, man.
Way too long.
You know, and I mean that changes to me. That hit like if they do get celebrated, it would change the outlook. It would change everything. Change your approach in the next off season. It changes a lot. So you got him and Hudson coming into a team that's already got some nice young forward pieces, nice young defensive pieces.
Yeah.
They finally got that offensive, catalyst that we haven't had. Plus, you got Caulfield there, who is, I mean, he is the closest thing we have to that now. He's got potential to be a 40-goal guy. I think he will be multiple season 40-goal scorer. I believe that still. Suzuki is a nice, kind of well-rounded, Bergeron light playing up your middle and maybe some good goaltending prospects and still a lot of assets you can move. That's the other thing. They got so much assets.
Yeah.
That, they had defensemen, 12 defensemen who were NHL defensemen.
Yes.
So they're not all playing in the NHL.
No.
They got a stockpile of draft picks. So if they decide, we need a certain type of player or a certain thing, they got the assets to kind of compile to try to get that. But that offensive catalyst is one thing that you're probably not going to trade for it unless you give up something super significant, in which case you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. But if you can get the draft, it changes everything. I mean, how many teams has the draft changed everything for?
Oh, yeah.
Every team that's good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, change it for them. The Leafs, but, Austin Matthews is one of the best players in the league right now.
Yeah. It's got
on pace for
40
60 goals.
Best.
60-something goals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, difference makers offensively. And the Leafs have done a horrible job surrounding him.
Oh, yeah.
A horrible job.
Yeah.
They've completely wasted it, and hopefully they continue to do so. But, Montreal's got... When Austin Matthews got drafted to the Leafs had nothing.
Oh, I know.
They were a bare cupboard. They were horrible.
Yeah.
Montreal Canadiens are not a horrible hockey team.
No.
They got an excellent cupboard. They got excellent prospects. They lack elite talent. And you throw some elite talent on this already, talented roster, and it can turn around quick, and I really believe that.
Not only that, but every player's numbers are just going to skyrocket. You throw Celebrini in that lineup, all of a sudden, Cole Caulfield, if you're thinking, maybe I'll hit 30 goals next season, all of a sudden you're wondering, geez, is he going to hit 40 goals next season?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's going to have a huge ripple effect.
100%.
Yeah.
And, a guy like Suzuki, I love Suzuki Caulfield, but, there's more options in offense. You can mix a lot of ingredients. Again, you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul because you got two offensive guys.
Yeah.
You can mix in with whether it would be Doc, whether it be Suzuki, Slafkovsky on the other wing. Maybe he's the guy that Slafkovsky becomes the playmaker for,
Yeah.
And then Lane Hunson on the back end, adding onto that power play. And it's just so much. But the potential is limitless, if they get a guy like that. Or even a Demidov. Because I think, obviously the Russian factor is in there like it was for Mishkov last year. But, a guy like Demidov is in the same vein for me.
He'd be insane.
As an offensive. Now, Lindstrom is going to be a different type of player.
He's a bulldozer, man.
Yeah. Right.
Holy shit.
So that changes it, but it's still, maybe you don't have that offensive catalyst in him like you have from, say, a Demidov or a Celebrini, but he still makes your team an awful lot better.
Oh, man.
And you become that's an identity as a hockey team that we haven't had in Montreal in a long time. You got Lindstrom, Slafkovsky, Doc, Anderson, a lot of big bodies who can skate.
Yeah.
Outside of Anderson, finish sometimes. So it's going to be interesting, man, going forward.